Hey guys, welcome to the Kingsman podcast. I'm Todd Goodwin, sitting in for Micah Hickman. Have we got something for you today? You can't wait. Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Todd Goodwin. I'm taking Micah's place this week. I know what you're thinking. You see more wrinkles than what you normally do. Well, he is so busy with work. He's out, but we have a great special guest. We have son number 2. That's right, Micah's brother, Caleb. This is Caleb Hickman. And today we're going to be talking about the American dream, like we talked 2 episodes already, but today we're going to talk about the American dream and how practical we can be in reaching that dream. So I know our first episode, we asked the question, should we even pursue the American dream? And then we asked the question, what is the American dream? Well, today we're talking about, hey, if God's given us a dream, how are we going to pursue it? Matter of fact, that's why Caleb's here. He's going to talk a little bit about some of his outings and some of his businesses and things that he's doing. So let me ask right off the bat, why even start a business?
Well, for me, it was always I worked for multiple people in different businesses and things like that, and I quickly understood that I don't think I was ever going to be happy working for somebody else.
Because you don't like being told what to do?
No, not because I didn't like being told what to do. More about the I always wanted to move up, progress, climb the ladder, but I hit a certain point where I looked at my boss's job, my boss's because if I was going to be in the company, I want to be the CEO. That was always in my head. But then I started looking at all the whole progression of things, and I was like, man, I really don't want any of those jobs. But at the same time, I didn't want to stay where I was at either. I didn't want.
So you wanted to be the one that basically is running the ship?
I wanted to be the one running the ship, and I wanted to, honestly, if I got down to the nuts and bolts of it, if I was going to be working harder, I wanted to make me more money than somebody else. Somebody else more money.
Now, but with that said, wouldn't it be easier if the responsibility of that was on somebody else?
Absolutely. Yeah, there are a lot of things that come with owning a business that you really don't think about until you get in a business and where you're running the business. Most people think that, I have this passion. I like to do this. I like to do that. I'm going to turn it into a business. I'm going to turn it into a business. Well, you quickly realize that that might be the main aspect of the business, or that might be what draws people in or what makes you money, sure. But that is not the only thing involved in a business. There's marketing, there's advertising, there's
accounting,
taxes. Yeah.
Did you say taxes?
I did.
We apologize for cursing, guys.
But there's all these things involved that are not your passion. Sure, you can be part of marketing, like, I love marketing. Well, then you have to do advertising, the managing, all the coordinating, all that stuff, all the human resources or the customer service. There's so many different things.
Do you think people, their businesses go under because they lack passion or they lack business sense?
Well, I think that a business can go under for a variety of reasons. For one, being if the market doesn't like, you might have a good idea or what you think is a good idea, but the market doesn't really care if you like your idea or if you don't like your idea. You know what I mean?
But could you not create your own market?
Yeah, you can. If the product, I think that this is one of the main things I look at in a business when I think about starting a business is value. And my mind has, in my whole thought process on business has changed over the years.
Okay, let's before you move on, what was it and why has it changed and what is it now?
So since I was little, I've always, and I don't know why, but since I was little, I've always been focused on money. Like I'd save my money, I would stash away my money, I would work, and I'd put it in my drawer. I don't know, 8 years old, 9 years old, I'd see my dad creeping in it, at midnight, taking some of my money out, I'd wake up like, but Dad, why are you taking my money? He's like, I'll pay you back. I got to get diapers. So it's like no secret that I would stash money and save all that. And so that was my view on business and things like that of that nature. It was always money focused. But after getting out of college and doing different things, I made choices based on money. And I will be the first to tell you that money is not everything at all. And
wait. I thought that was a part of the American dream, money.
Man, you could not tell me that. In high school, you have older people, the older generation that tell you, oh, money and everything. And I remember thinking it in high school. I'm like, maybe to you, but to me, like, that's it. And like, there was no telling me any different until that was a lesson I had to learn myself. I just couldn't. I value and I pride myself on learning from other people's mistakes, but that was one thing that I could not learn from somebody else until
you had to learn it the hard way.
I had to learn it. I ended up taking a pay cut and doing different things because I was so miserable at a place.
Because you wanted to make money
based on money. Yeah. And so in business, money is. You need to wipe that out of your head if you think that I'm just doing this for money, because that feeling. Well,
then why are you doing it then?
To provide value. You look at it based on a value basis. Like what value, and you focus on providing value to somebody or to your customer or whatever it may be, whatever your product is or your service is.
Now, let me ask you a question.
Value.
This is philosophical to a certain degree. But this right here, these are smartphones. And they have inflated their value. This is $1,200 in my hand. You know what kind of computer I could have bought years ago with $1,200? So is it not inflated value, or is it true intrinsic value? How do you differentiate between the two?
See, I think of true value as if people... That's the true measurement of like the market, is if people value the product or your service, they will return and they will keep buying your product because they value your product. Now,
not that you're inflating the value, but they see the value in it.
They see the value in it. And now, let's be honest, I don't even know the stats of iPhones, but I'm pretty sure, I'm almost certain they have the vast majority of the,
in America, at least.
In America, at least. And now people just they see Apple on it. That's a good product. We value that product. Now, you could say, does it provide $1,200 worth of value? I don't know. Maybe not.
But it came from a man who had a passion to do the very best, no matter what it was. Because I've heard the story about Steve Jobs. They go, we've done everything we can about getting all the space in one of these phones. It's done. So he took the phone, dropped it in water, and a bubble popped up. He goes, nope, there's air in there. You got to go back to the drawing board. I'm like, wow.
He was so, and I've listened to some of y'all's previous podcast. I think it was on the last podcast, part 2, where y'all were talking about excellence, achieving excellence. Like Steve Jobs, that is exactly what he did. He was the
epitome of it.
That is exactly what he did with everything when it come to fonts or any kind of thing. Or we don't want to use buttons. We want to use this. But why? Because he was also a visionary, but he saw the value in everything that he did. He saw the value in like implementing that technology or that product, putting it in that iPhone. And so I think that he was the epitome of seeing value, like what will people value in the future. And that's one of the main things you need to look at when you're trying to start a business. Not, do I like this? Not, that 100% helps if you like it.
Well, you got to be passionate.
You're not really going to do it to like if you don't like it in some sort of way. Because
your passion will eventually become a job, but you still can have passion. I love what I do. I get up every morning and I go do what I do because I love what I do. Would I do it if I didn't get paid for it? Well, I'd probably need the money, but if I didn't have to get paid for it, I'd still do it. Why? Because I love it.
That's right.
But I have to get paid because I got to make money.
And make no mistake, there are things, and I've been in positions and in jobs and worked for different companies that there are things you don't like about your job. Okay, I think everybody knows that. Everybody's been through that.
Just as long as it's not the boss.
That's something that everybody can relate to. Yeah, but the thing about it is, even owning a business that you're passionate about or that you like, a subject that you, like you said, you would do even if you weren't getting paid for it or weren't making money for it. There are going to be aspects of your job or your business that you don't like to do, but you have to suck it up and you have to deal with it.
Because that's part of owning a business.
That is part of owning a business, and you're the guy or the girl. You're that person, and if you don't do it, it doesn't get done. It's not in the company, and I want you to, you can't pass the buck to somebody else. Oh, let HR deal with it. You are HR. You're everything. Especially starting.
Yeah.
You're starting a one-man show. I mean, yeah, sure, if you have a partner or wife or somebody that's involved with you, okay, it's a 2 or 3 man crew. But generally it's one person. You're that person until you grow and you can delegate those tasks that you don't like to deal with. But starting out, make no mistake, it's tough because you're having to do all that stuff.
Well, let's talk about starting out. So starting a business. There's some people maybe listening, some younger people, some young men in their early 20s. I know what you're doing right now is not necessarily what you went to school for specifically.
Not at all.
I think it's funny, but in that a lot of people go to school and they get out and they don't get a job in what they went to school for. And I'm not saying their education is wasted. I'm simply saying, well, why? Because when I ask a young person, well, what do you want to do with your life? They go, well, I'm going to go to college for. I go, okay, when you get out and you have that degree, what's the kind of job you're going to get?
And see, I can totally relate to that. I have an engineering degree. I did engineering. And then I found out I didn't really like what I was doing. And I changed. But and
now,
that's one of the most.
With that said, do you think your education was wasted?
No. And see, I had this conversation with people multiple times. I don't think I would know. I don't know that I would be where I am hadn't I went through that.
Yeah.
And honestly, I was always very good at math and very good at science. And I love that I got to go to college for engineering just to learn physics and math because I could view the whole world in a different way because of physics. I learned how the world works. That's what physics is. And I don't know that I could have done what I do now without that. And so it's very hard to say. And I don't think anybody can truly say, if I didn't do this, this is where I'd be, butterfly effect. Change one thing.
I think education is how you use your education, no matter what it is.
That's right. And I think that going to college is it's not a bad thing. And here's what over the years I've kind of boiled it down to this, what I would tell my kids. And that's because that's kind of how, what would you really say? Well, if I told my kids this is what I believe.
Yeah, this is what I really believe.
This is what I really believe. And I would tell them, let's see what you are interested in. What do you think you're interested in? And then go work for people that do this thing that you think that you're interested in. And then you'll really see and you'll really know. And if you decide that whatever you want to do or whatever business you want to own or whatever job you want, if you want to go to college and it requires a college degree, go.
Yeah.
100% do it. But to blindly go, I don't think is.
I'm going to college because everybody else goes to college, and we're told to go to college.
You're putting yourself in a bad position, especially if you don't have money, and things like that. But there are so many ways, and I know my father, hates the internet and all this, that, and other. But I think that there are so many things that you can learn, so many podcasts, so many like YouTube. Like you don't know how to do it.
YouTube.
Get on YouTube.
YouTube, it is a verb now.
It is, yes.
YouTube.
And it can be used by anyone, and there are various subjects. I mean, honestly, I would argue that pretty much any subject that you can think of that you don't know about, you could go in there and learn
I went to work
about
on my truck the other day, and I went and found a video, watched it, and realized I do not need to work on my truck because I was about to do something. If I would have done it, I would have ruined my truck But I went on there to find out first, and I was like, "Oh, thank you, Lord."
Exactly.
That's for a professional.
And I do it, and I think I'm a pretty smart guy, but I use it a fair amount.
Yeah.
A lot. But, and so in business, I think there are things and there's different tools that you can use to even, I think the first part of starting a business is just to decide. It's just, hey, is this a valuable, I like this subject, or I like this, I'm passionate about this. Is this something that the market would appreciate also?
Yeah.
That's the first.
Is there a market out there for it?
Is this product viable? Is this, and that's a term in business.
Not to inflate the value of something, but does it have intrinsic value already?
Yes.
Does this service have intrinsic value already?
That's right. Not just, just saying this has value because I say it does.
Because I want to have a business about it.
Yeah, because I want it to have value because I have a lot of this. I have a lot of rocks, so I'm going to say these have value.
Yeah. Well, believe it or not, we used to have pet rocks back in the 70s.
Dad told me this.
Somebody tried, and they taught, and they marketed it to young people like me. I wasn't dumb enough to buy one. I just went out and got my pet rock out of the driveway, brought it in, and petted it. But my point being is that, what would you tell somebody? I have this idea. I have this passion. I want to start a business. What next?
What do I do? Right. And I would say, and I've listened to some podcasts and things, and I'm going to just steal some of the stuff that other people have said because I thought it was great
And
advice.
then eventually I want you to tell us what you did.
Okay. Yeah, we can do that. And but if you think that you have a valuable product or a valuable service, start giving it away for free. I said it.
I thought we were supposed to make money.
I know. Ain't it crazy?
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. So naturally, like a lot of businesses do, it would start off as what you would call a side gig. Mm-hmm. So you'd start out and you start doing this stuff for people. And if these people start telling other people, you're getting more phone calls. And at the point where, okay, I have no more time to do this.
I have to get paid for it.
Then you start putting a price tag on it. Then, okay, and then eventually it replaces your 9 to 5 or your salary or whatever it is. When you have no more time to dedicate to that, to give it away for free, then you could start charging for it. And then that tells you right then and there, I have a minimal viable product to offer the market. And now I can start offering this service because you gave it away for free and you're still getting phone calls from people to do said service or whatever product. And then, boom, you have a product or you have a service.
Well, when do you know that you're not successful? When do you know that you've been making money in your business?
Growth, I would say.
But what do you mean by growth? I mean, is it because I've always looked at it this way. If I can't pay myself, I'm not successful yet. Not just because I'm making money. I mean, I could be making money, but if I'm not getting I got to make my salary part of the business. I got to pay myself.
Absolutely.
So if I can't do that, because I know a lot of people go, I want a business. I said, you don't even do enough work to pay yourself, so you're not successful in your business yet.
Well, it depends on what that person deems as successful. If that person thinks that, hey, I'm doing this as a hobby to make a little side income, maybe that person, that was their goal, and that person is successful in that goal, in hitting that goal.
With the mindset of America.
Okay, so like the American dream, I would say that one fault in business, I think, though, is, and this is to answer your question, is you have to monitor and you have to like know your numbers, track your numbers, because if you don't, you don't know anything. You can't answer any questions. You don't know where your money's going. Hey, is this a good investment? Well, you don't know how much money you put in it. What did that get you back? How much money did you spend in marketing? Well, how many leads did you get back? If you're not tracking any of those numbers, you have no idea. And so what I mean by growth is if you can't tell that you're growing, okay, this quarter I increased, or this year between the past 2 or 3 years, I've increased sales by 20, 30% each year. Okay, well, you have, I would say, a viable business. You're growing year.
But most people are good at spending money. Excuse me, they know how to make money, but they don't spend well in the sense that they don't keep up with it.
And
they'll spend it.
Absolutely.
They go, I got money to spend. No, you don't. You got money to invest.
That's right.
Back into your business. So one of the first things you would say that somebody needs to know practically, not just, hey, is this a good idea? Is what's the next step of going? Do I incorporate? Do I LLC? Do I just keep doing it as me? Because there's tax consequences to all that kind of stuff.
And
I know, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Because of mistakes.
Yeah. And I've done both. Which nobody can give you better advice than your tax professional or your CPAs or people like that, tax lawyers. But from my general knowledge of that subject, after a certain point, you start off with an LLC, and
which means limited liability corporation.
Limited liability. But let's be upfront about this. If you're not keeping the books straight and clean, a lawyer will pierce that veil in a heartbeat. So your liability, the company's or the LLC's liability, is your liability if you did not keep everything neat and clean. And if you start commingling all this personal
that
and
right
all
there
this,
is where a lot of first-time business people. I did the same thing, and then when I realized, I separated it because one year I wound up having to pay a lot to the government because I'd commingled, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't know what was what.
That's right.
So I separated them real fast.
And you need to make sure you do everything proper. And it's a real, and look, that's a whole subject in itself.
Yes.
Trying to navigate that whole subject. But just know that there's LLCs and there's personal. They are not the same.
Nope.
And if you treat them as the same, well,
you're going to be in trouble eventually.
You've just totally disregarded everything beneficial about the LLC. Your limited liability is no longer. Now you're completely liable if you do not keep clean books and treat them as separate entities, because that's what they're meant to be, is separate entities.
Yeah.
Now, as far as the corporations like S Corp, C Corps, there's different values in both of those. Once the company is making a certain amount of money, it is more beneficial to, be taxed as an S Corp for different reasons, things like that. But you do have to be making a certain amount. Otherwise, it's pointless because there is extra paperwork and extra, as you can imagine, there's extra stuff to do with a corporation. But for that benefit of, mitigating some of the taxes and things like that, well, extra paperwork comes with it.
Yes. Yeah. There's
Paperwork.
nothing that for free. It doesn't happen free.
No.
Now, there's a lot to own in a business, but because you do, and I know you guys also have realty, is it worth the extra work? Is it worth the headache? Is it worth the buck stops here? Is it worth you having to be concerned about it? And I don't believe you lose sleep over it, but you think about certain things
100%
that other people, your employees, won't think about. Why? They don't have to.
They do not have to. And I've had this conversation with multiple of my brothers, and I envy the people that know what they want to do and like, man, this is what I want to do. I envy those types of people, and especially the ones that this is the job I want, not owning a business. This is the job I want, and I love this job. I love everything about it. And I envy those people because owning a business is not for the faint of heart.
No.
It is. There's a lot. You're not like weekends. Weekends are fair game for business.
It's not a 9 to 5.
It's not, okay, Friday, I'm done for the week. There's none of that. It's like you're the business owner. You're the person. You're getting the phone calls. So I would say I believe, and I seriously believe this, could anybody own a business? Absolutely. Anybody could own a business.
Could.
But should everybody own a business? No. Everybody should not own a business because of that reason right there. The time it takes, the willpower,
you got to be willing,
the money management, all of this stuff, a lot of people do not want to fool with that. And a lot of people's personalities do not cater to that, you know?
Yes, I agree with you.
Me and my brother one of my other brothers would just talk. It's like, man, I haven't been paid since May or June. It's like, could you do that? Could you manage your money well enough to where you haven't made money in 6 months to be able to, or would you just blow all your money and then you're in a bind? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what owning a business is like. You're not getting a salary anymore. You're not getting a paycheck every 2 weeks consistently. But on the flip side of that, there's the freedom of owning a business. You are the boss. If you want to take a day off, you can take a day off. You can do all of these things that, you know, everybody sees on social media of, you know, the glamour part of it. But it is not all glamorous. Make no mistake, you know?
It's everything behind the curtain. A lot of people don't see what's behind the curtain. Nobody sees, just like podcasting. We get people that come in here and they set up stuff before and after. They set up lighting, they set up all that kind of stuff. And that's worth it to them, and that's worth it to us, but we're willing to put in the extra work. And that's why I think some people are owners and some people are employees.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
There is nothing wrong with that.
You got to have leaders and you got to have followers.
And I've always said, and just because you have a job, I believe that doesn't mean you can't be a leader in your field or your job or anything like that.
You don't have to be the head guy.
You do not have to. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, and I've already said I envy those people where if you could be perfectly content and perfectly happy in a job or where everybody else, there's an HR department and there's a service department, a marketing department, I would love it. But I've just been in multiple positions to where I was just never happy unless I was running my own business where I can make all the decisions. And if I fail, it's my fault. I've learned something. Or if I succeed, I succeeded and I did something because of my hard work and my efforts that I put forth.
But you had to take a chance.
Love it. I love that part of it.
And that's where a lot of people are not willing to take a chance. And it's a scary thing to be on the edge of the mountain looking over going, ooh, I don't know.
There's a lot of scary aspects to this, and that's just life. Yeah. Honestly, that's life. And I considered one of the scariest things I did was leaving this high-paying job and deciding to take a pay cut or quit. And it's like,
I remember that.
Dude, it's a real thing. Like, that's a risk in itself. Not only because I didn't have the money to put, or I didn't have money that I was putting towards a business or an investment or something like that, but at the same time, you're going to forego all of this money that you're getting every 2 weeks to go do something that you really don't know what you're doing.
Exactly when I'm going to get the money.
You don't know what you're going to do. You don't know when you're going to get paid. Like, it's the same type of risk. There's money on the table that is being risked. And then there's also the opportunity cost of it. The risk, that's a risk. And if you look at something and you don't make that decision or you don't take that leap, well, you're risking what could be a huge benefit or a game changer for your life. And so these are all real decisions and all real risks that everybody deal with, whether you take the risk or whether you don't take the risk. And
it's not a right or wrong thing.
It's not.
It's a matter of whether it's if this is what you're going to do.
That's right.
Anything worth having, it's going to take a risk.
It's going to take a risk, and it takes some deep soul searching. Like, do I really want to do this? But I've always, and it's been hard for me. I love taking risks. I like taking the risk in like business with money, business and money type stuff. There are other parts of my life like
having known you since you were 11 or 12 years old. I'm thinking, really? When you go, I love taking risk. I'm like, that's not the Caleb I always knew. Yeah, which I think is awesome.
And I think, well, like I said, in like a lot of aspects of my life, I am not risky in. But when I found out, which I guess you can't really find this out until you get out on your own, when you do have some money to risk, can you learn about
risking
yourself?
Somebody else's money.
Exactly. Yeah. So like, can you really learn about yourself where, oh, I have some money. I actually like taking that risk. I've lost some, but I've also
made some.
I've also gained a lot, So there's that aspect of it to where, and and I feel like everybody you need to treat your life as not just sometimes I like to view my life as like you're playing a board game like Monopoly or something like that.
Might know it'd be Monopoly with you.
Yeah, exactly. So, but you treat it like that, and it's on the previous podcast you brought up Donald Trump, how he went bankrupt 3 times, and honestly, like if you did enough research, you'll see a ton of people
Yes.
have gone bankrupt and came back quicker or made the money back quicker.
Yep.
We are so dead set on failure, like it is like you're gonna die. That's what people pictured it. I'm serious.
Yeah.
People picture it as like, I'm included in that. We picture it as like you're gonna die if you fail or you lose this money or it didn't work out because you took this risk and it failed. But in reality, that couldn't be further from the truth.
Exactly.
Yeah, it will be hard. Yeah, it will suck. But you can come out. What you fail to miss, or all of us do really, is you have learned something. You've gained a ton of skills along the way.
Yeah.
Of doing this, taking that risk, this risk, whatever, and then it didn't work out. Well, you know what? Now you know something
That you didn't know before.
And you know exactly what you wouldn't do next time.
I don't know if I
You know
said
what I
this
mean?
on one of the podcasts. Was that I can't remember the story on what the company was. This guy was working for a company, and he did something and made a major mistake. Cost $500,000, $1 million, something like
Yeah.
that. I don't know if I said that.
You did, yeah.
And the guy was like, "Am I fired?" He goes, "No, I just spent $500,000 on your education."
That's right.
So I look at, I've taken risk in my life. Do I like taking risks? No, because it's scary. It's scary to get out of the boat and walk on water because nobody's ever done that. So, but I can promise you right now, we're still talking about Peter over
Because he
2,000
did it.
years later. 2,000 years later, because he took a risk and he stepped out of the boat. But one of the things that he did, I want to make it spiritual, since we are a spiritual podcast. This is what he did, and since I'm a preacher, is that he said first, this is what he said, "If it's you, Lord, tell me to come, and I will." And he says, "It's I." That's when he stepped out of the boat. He didn't step out of the boat on a whim. He didn't step out of a boat just because he felt like, I don't want to do this anymore. I feel like I want to do this. He heard the voice of God. Now, the circumstances did not look good. I mean, I remember when you walked through that. I'm sure the circumstances did not look good. And now you have children and a wife. You have people depending on you. And sometimes that's risky, because you're not just risking it for you. You're risking it for your family.
That's right.
What would you tell people going, okay, yeah, I am risking that.
And see, like, to bring back to the spiritual aspect of it, you should always pray and consult people, pray about it. But most of all, you need to pray about it. And is this the direction that the Lord is directing me in?
Is the Lord speaking?
Is the Lord speaking to me? Is he allowing me to take this risk? Because I heard this on a podcast, or I really don't remember where I heard it from, but it was on a podcast somewhere. And I was like, wow, what a great way to look at things is everything that we have on earth, everything that we have, all these material things, our house, our cars, everything we have, we're just renting it.
Yeah, I've heard that.
We're dying. You're going to die.
You're not taking it with you.
You're not taking it with you. You're just basically, you have it for a time, and then that's it. You know what I mean? And so we have to consult God. Hey, is this what I should be doing with your money?
Yeah.
Is this the best use
Your
of your
stuff?
money?
Yeah.
And then there's the aspect also of, you're finding your purpose. And this is a constant journey. I pray about this a lot for myself, is your real purpose in life. Like, what is your purpose? And it is not an easy task, especially at least for me. I don't know about it, for everybody, but like your real purpose in life, is this what it is? am I coinciding? Am I living out my purpose? You know, but and a lot of times that business, it should fall within, like, I'm
Your
fulfilling
purpose.
my purpose. What is God's purpose for me in this life? And I feel like it should coincide with your purpose. If you're starting a business, if God told you to do something else and then, hey, but I'm going to go start this business instead, I don't think it's going to fare very well for you.
No, because
You know,
now you're in disobedience.
Now you're in disobedience and you're just living out something that you're not meant to be doing. You know what I mean?
Can you be
But-
successful doing something you aren't meant to be doing? Yes, just by applying principles like you reap what you sow, you do good business principles, but will you have a joy? Will you have a peace?
The
will you have
fulfillment in your
fulfillment?
life.
Yeah.
And that is what everybody's searching for. We have so much, there's so much information in this world. We're flooded with it.
Yes.
With social media and all of these things that we see all the aspects of, you know, all the glamour and all the fame and all the money. And so naturally we just picture, I need that. And that's where keeping up with the Joneses comes in. You know, I need to get all this money. I need to get this. Money is a tool.
When did that
Money-
change for you? Because at one
It was
time
a
you wanted money.
It was a long process of learning. I think the part where it really
It wasn't
changed,
just a moment of click.
It wasn't a moment.
Okay.
But I do remember this. I was doing some deep soul searching at a job where I was not happy in, but I made a lot more money. Like, why
would I let that go?
why am I sad? Or why am I so depressed about this? You know, I'm making all this money and I'm not happy. And it was crazy. I took this job and I got within 2 or 3 months, it's like that check. The first time I saw that check hit my bank account, I'm like, ooh,
I'm rolling in the dough.
money, you know? But 2 months, 3 months, 4 months later, it's another day. That's when I realized, I was like, man, this is not what I thought it was going to be like. That was the moment when I actually realized.
Do you think that's because of your naivety about life, being younger, or what? Because a lot of people are just naive. They have this mindset. They think, you know, like my dad told me I could do anything. And I've told the story about me jumping off the house because I believed, if I believe a lot hard enough, and I think we've been taught that if you believe hard enough, you can be successful. And I'm like, and here you are getting all that kind of money 2 or 3 months into this,
Yeah.
and you're sad.
Yeah.
I'm like, you got what you wanted. You got all the money.
I know. Hey, I asked all these questions too.
Is that
These are-
naivety?
no, I think it was like kind of it was just, I don't know if it was naivety, but it was growing up. Like I talked about growing up, I pictured money like, oh, I like having all this money. And so it's just something that I guess for me, it's just something that just kind of developed in my head because, like, we didn't have social media or internet when I was growing up. Even after internet was invented, do you think Alan Hickman let us have internet?
No, he
in the house?
didn't.
No, he did not.
We had discussions
We
about
did.
that.
We did not have internet, so I didn't have all. You know, I don't know what I would have done in today's world. You know, where you could see it all over social media, like. But it was just something that developed in my head and my brain. I was like, man, I like having this. I like, oh, this cool. I like this. I can buy things with it. But it was something that I guess that's why I had to learn that lesson myself. You couldn't just tell me.
Because people were.
100%. A lot
Yes.
of people thought, oh, money's not everything. But, you know, money does buy a lot of things. It does.
But
It
it
does. It
can't
is a weight
buy-
off your shoulders.
Yeah, it
to-
does
to
take
an,
a weight.
to an extent.
Yeah.
And then to an extent, it puts a lot of weight back on your shoulders to an extent. You know, I've been on both sides of that. But it's something that you need to take that out of where money is the focus. Money is a tool. It's the fulfillment in life that you need to be searching for. And I talking about this, I watched a podcast, and it was a guy. He ran across an old friend. This guy was making hundreds of millions of dollars, tons of money, right? And a decade earlier, he had a friend that was doing the exact same thing he was doing a decade earlier, right? And so then he tells him, he's like, and he was just ecstatic. The friend is just like happy as can be, still loving what he's doing. But the guy with $100 million, you know, he was still like, oh, gotta get the next thing. Like, I'm not happy where I'm at. I'm not. And he came to the realization, like, he's like, man, the friend had said, man, I see all the stuff you're doing. You're all over the place. You're doing great. Your business is blowing up. And then the guy said, man, you've won. You got it. Like, I envy you, because this guy was so happy and so fulfilled doing what he was doing, regardless of the money aspect. The other guy clearly had a lot more money, but this guy was so fulfilled in his life because he was living out his purpose. Like, this is what I'm meant to do, and I'm enjoying doing it. And that's what.
And whether he made $100 million or $1 million didn't matter.
It didn't
because he
matter.
was doing what he was called to do.
It didn't matter. And so that's a huge aspect of business, I think. What's my calling? What's my purpose? And does this business, is this direction? Pastor Allen always talks about having a vision for your life, and I couldn't agree more. And it's so easy to get in the car and plug in a direction, think of it as, you know, plugging in, you know, a final destination and getting those directions. But I couldn't. It's a lot more vague in life, and it's so easy to dismiss the day-to-day, you know, going through all the stuff that you got to go through, the family, the kids, all this stuff. But it's also very important. Where's my end goal? Where's my destination? It's so important. And now I feel like more than ever, because we are flooded with information and this, that, it's so easy to get off focus.
It is.
I am guilty of it. It is so hard. Business investment here, this. Oh, I could put money here, this, or I could get in this business. It is just, you get flooded with this stuff.
Everybody's yelling at you.
But
look at me.
Yes. And it's like, do this. And I'm guilty of it. But you got to bring yourself back down. Will this get me to the destination that I need to go, or that I said I need to go, or where God wants to bring me? Because
when you
if it
reach
doesn't,
it, when you get where you think you're going, is there peace in it? Is there fulfillment in it? Like,
absolutely.
I'm on this side, way on this side of the dream, you know, and I'm where I'm at on purpose. Now, I don't know. I'm not saying all the circumstances exactly. I didn't know that, but because I was like, Lord, I'm going to do what you tell me to do, and you'll bring the joy to me. You'll bring the peace to me, and I'm going to be successful. Why? Because I'm going to obey you. So at the end of the day, I'm 61 years old, and I've done things that I didn't think I'd ever do, but I was open to whatever God wanted me to do. I was willing to step out of the boat. I was willing to take a risk. You know, this is more philosophical and spiritual, but there's also practical things. I put in my homework. I stayed up late. I got up early. You know, people that go, well, I want a body like that guy's got a body. Well, get up and do what he did to get it. And a lot of people want what I got, but they're not willing to do what I got.
Yeah,
I didn't
more,
get
less.
it. Same thing with you. Yeah. And people go, well, just because you want something doesn't mean it's going to happen.
That's right.
So you got to do what's necessary to make that happen. And if that's a business, that's great. If that's what God's called you to. But let's bring this in kind of in for landing here, because we're getting a little long with it. So what would be top 2 things you'd tell somebody young, right out of college, they want to start a business?
I would tell them just what I said earlier. I would say, if you're dead set on something that I really feel like this could be a good business, then do your research, start doing it, start doing it, and offer it for free. See if you can give people the product, or use the product for free, or the service, give it away for free, and you'll see, and you'll get feedback. People take stuff for free.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Especially if it is a good product, like, man, this is great.
Yeah, I'll take it.
And when you start getting phone calls from like their friends, that means you didn't pay that person to go tell their other people. They're telling those people
they're marketing for
you. You did such a good job. When you start getting more phone calls from other people, and start doing it there. But you're not only giving it away for free. In your head, yeah, I'm not getting any money for it. You're getting a lot more practice too. You're getting a lot more experience doing that stuff,
and that's
too.
worth something.
Absolutely, 100%. Because you can't do all this stuff. You gotta do things. You can only learn so much. Just like in college, you can only learn so much from a book.
Yep.
Until you start doing the job, that's where the real learning starts. You get a basis of knowledge doing, with all the books and all the podcasts and different things like that on the internet. But until you start doing the thing, that's where you learn. And there is some anxiety that comes along with that, because like, oh, I got to really do this. Oh, and the first house I built, I was like, oh man, did I know everything there was to know about building? No, I did not. I still don't know everything.
But you have people around you.
It's a constant thing. That's another thing that you can do. Always do not ever think that you know everything there is to know about anything.
Or to think, well, I'll just go to YouTube.
Or I'll just
personal experience.
Yes,
from people.
And seek out people that are doing the thing that you want to do. What better way to learn than you see somebody, that's who I want to be. They're in the business that you're thinking about going in, and they own a business that you're thinking about going in. Try to get to those people. Try to work for them for free.
Yeah.
Or go try to get a job under them.
I know people that have paid other people for their time. I will take you to lunch. I will pay you for your time I want to pull all this from you because there's so much. And most of the people go, yeah, I'll take the lunch, but you don't have to pay me nothing, because they're willing to give it away.
Because they're so interested. They love the fact that they're so interested in you.
Yeah.
And they're like, sure, man. Yeah, I'll help. Yeah. I'll help you out because man, you're like, and don't, if it's one phone call, oh, they didn't answer. Call
Pursue it.
Write them a letter. Email them. Consistency. Stay consistent. But there's that aspect of pride that comes into that. Oh, I'll call them once, but if they don't answer, hey, to them, they have something that you want. It's not vice versa.
Yeah.
So it might take a couple times, but
you go after it.
You can't. That's one of the best ways to learn. Is somebody's been through what you think you want to go through. They know all the ins and outs. Yep. You don't. And so they
learn from their mistakes and their successes.
And everything that they have to offer, soak it in. And that helps you make your decision on their day-to-day things. And they might say something to you that blows you away and, wow, this is great. And then they might say something to you that you completely hate. And instantly, and then you feel relief. I'm glad I didn't decide to start this business by a conversation. Yep. Those are two things that I think that are extremely valuable. Is and it's very counterintuitive to what this world thinks about giving away for free or working for free, but dismiss the money aspect of it. The value, bring it back to value. You're getting value by the lessons learned or the experience gained. Instead of, there was not a cash exchange, but there was still an exchange. You exchange your time for value or experience.
Their knowledge. And
exactly.
You got it.
And you can't pay enough for that. You can't, and you look at all the most successful people in the world, they're paying tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars to be in a room with other people with the experiences that they want to learn from. And you learn from them. They'll spend more money on their knowledge and their skills and their wisdom than anything else because that's the biggest bang for your buck is investing in yourself. And I know it's a cliche, invest in you.
But it is true.
It is 100% true.
Because if you're not healthy, you can't lead people.
That's right. That's right. And your experiences, if you gain wisdom and you gain skill sets, that's the most...
That's value to it.
That is the most value you can give yourself. Not just money, but that's a skill set that you can use and that nobody can take away from you.
Now, not just money. The American dream is not just about money. We've heard it over the last 3 episodes. You've heard Caleb talk about it. And however, you got to make money. Yeah, you got to make money to be able to do what you need to do. But it's not about money. So the American dream, we said earlier, it's also about the opportunity to pursue a dream that you can't do in other countries. Caleb, I appreciate you showing up. And we did miss Micah here today, and he'll be here next time. But until next time, we want to say, go for it, man. God wants you to go for it. He's got your back. I'm not saying that you're going to do everything perfect, but I'm telling you right now, it's time to step out of the boat. He's telling you to come, step out of the boat. It's going to be risky, but it's going to be worth it. Until next time, we'll see you.